Go Mustang, the Coach Alexander Show, brought to you by Kim Assad, your real estate broker.
Hello Mustang Nation, Matt Carnes, Grapevine Booster here, coming to you from the Mustang Sound Studios for Mustang football here in the Multi-Purpose Activity Center at Grapevine High School. Apologize in advance if we have some interruptions. They're building a new soundstage for us for the playoff run coming up. But we're coming off of a Friday night, which didn't go exactly the way you would have hoped, Coach. You kind of ran into a freight train, literally. So tell us about a Friday night, and then we'll look at some of the highlights and talk about some of the other things going on in the program.
Well, you know, obviously came up short against Denton, and you know, credit to those guys for playing so well. They're a tough team, and you know, they have just incredible athletes all over the place, and
Yes,
you know, I think our team was a little bit. I don't know. We knew what we were getting into, but I don't know that we probably responded as well as I think that would have wanted us to. You know, early on in the game, we traded them, you know, blow for blow there for a little bit, and then some things kind of didn't go our way. Threw a couple interceptions, and they ran one back for a touchdown, and that's kind of when it started to unravel. And against a really talented team like that, you know, when it starts to unravel, it can get away from you, and it did. But you know what? Our kids have a lot of fight in them, and we had a good video session this morning. We looked at the video and realistically, and you know, as coaches, there's some things that we had to own up to and tell our guys, you know, if we get a chance to see them again in round 4, you know, we'll be more prepared, and there's some things on the players' end that they could see on video that they got to respond a little bit better too. So just collectively, I think now seeing them once, you know, who knows if everything goes well over the next month, there's a good chance we might get to see them again, and you know, see how that goes.
Well, before we get into the highlights and all that stuff, a few other things that we can get into. The sub-varsity teams didn't have as good a week this week as they did last week, but there was one big highlight in that the JV Red team beat those kids. It's the first game they've lost at any level all year.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it just tells you the state of the program over at Denton. You know, it was week 9, and not one of their teams had lost a game yet. And for our JV to go over there and steal a game the way they did, you know, in a game that came down to the very end and needed to make a play, and Cal Gill threw a nice ball to Benger in the back of the end zone, and he went up and made a play, and that was after, you know, defense getting stops and the offense standing toe-to-toe with them for 4 quarters. So you know, that's a huge confidence booster for many of our sophomores and juniors that are on the JV, and you know, it's a statement win that to say that, you know, at Grapevine we're going to be competitive, and you know, we're not going to back down just because of your undefeated record. I was proud of our kids for that.
Well, I've heard you say many times that no matter what happens, our kids are going to keep coming at you.
Absolutely.
And that game was pretty much looked like over twice.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in the last minute that they came back, and boy, it was offense and defense had to make plays in the last minute.
Yeah, you know, and here's the really cool thing was it was almost scripted exactly like the game the week prior against Heritage. That, you know, we had a chance to win it, didn't. Defense got a stop, got the ball back to the offense, had another chance to win it, and against Heritage, you know, we came up a little bit short. This week, they found a way to do it and get it done. So, you know, that's the beautiful thing about JV football is there's so many lessons to be learned week to week, and to see our guys be faced with the same exact situation a week later and respond in victorious fashion was a huge confidence booster.
Well, it was a fun night. For sure. So that does look like the program. That's a real confidence boost, like you say, for the future of the program, because you've got some youth on your varsity team, and of course you have the JV coming through here as well.
Right.
So as we move on through to Friday night, it was senior night, and any head coach always has a special place in his heart for all those senior players, and you've got a lot of great ones on this team. Tell me about senior night and some of these senior guys.
Well, I made my way over as our kids were, being announced, and got to meet their parents at the 50-yard line, and I just took each kid around the neck and just told him how much I appreciated him and how much I loved him, and just asked him one question: "Are you ready for it to be over?" And the resounding answer was no. Nobody's ready for it to be over. So the good news is, we've earned ourselves an extra week of play. It's not going to be over for our seniors this week, and our goal right now with this senior class is just to keep enjoying them, keep giving them opportunities to play, and savor every moment.
Well, speaking of savoring every moment, had a special Breakfast of Champions this week. Again, dads, if you're not there for Breakfast of Champions, you're missing out. 7 o'clock this week, Thursday morning. Make sure you're there. But that win came, and I thought it was pretty interesting when he did some quick math on how many seconds, literally, some of these seniors have left in their high school football career.
It's so short. And you've been a parent of a senior before, and me being a parent of a junior, I can see how fast it's ticking, and it's scary. It can be over with just like that. So like I said, our goal is just to enjoy these guys and make sure we're having fun at practice, make sure we're having fun in the field house, and at the same time get prepared. But man, it's going to be over before we know it.
Well, it does go fast, and I swear I think the time's going faster as time goes on. So you had senior night, great night, and one of your seniors had a really special situation last week. Tim Drysdale was given a really special award that you got to be a part of. Tell us about Tim and the TV show and the bobblehead.
Well, we talked about Tim a lot on the show this year, and he's having such a phenomenal year. We all kind of felt like he should have been recognized as Player of the Week against Northwest when he had his 3 interception night, two for touchdowns. Didn't happen for him, but he was awarded Player of the Week for his performance against Heritage, and so he and I got to be on the show Inside High School Sports on Saturday evening. What a great experience! What a great show! Just to spotlight our football in our part of the DFW, and so thank you to NBC for doing that.
It's just not easy for defensive players to stand out enough in a game to earn an MVP bobblehead. But at the Battle of the Red Trail last week, one player was so good, it made our pick this week pretty simple.
Timothy Drysdale of Grapevine barely saw the field last season as a junior, but worked his way into the starting lineup this year as a senior and has been a major factor for the Mustangs. Last week, in a huge rivalry game with Colleyville Heritage, Drysdale returned a fumble 93 yards for a touchdown, and later he intercepted a pass and took that back 45 yards for a score. It was the second time this season he scored 2 defensive touchdowns in the same game. But when it happens in the Battle of the Red Rail, well, it earns Timothy an MVP bobblehead.
I cannot believe that performance, and Tim joins us now along with his coach, Mike Alexander. All right, Tim, here's the bobblehead. What do you think, man?
Gosh, looks just like me.
I was going to say, it's pretty accurate, and I got to tell you, as far as making plays this season, that performance was one of the best we've seen all year. How do you explain being at the right place at the right time so often? Was it lucky, or did you know what was coming? How do you explain that?
I just kind of read my keys through every play, and kind of on the pick, I drop back into coverage, and just kind of threw it right to me. So.
Yeah, it's unbelievable what you did. And Mike, against Northwest, he had a couple of defensive scores as well in that game. Did you see this coming before the season? Are there just some guys who have a knack for being around the ball like that?
Well, the work that Tim's put in the offseason was, unlike anybody else on our team. And you watch him every day in practice, down in, down out, working on his craft. It's not just another snap. I think he truly practices like a champion. Every down he's trying to get better. And he's very trainable. And his position coach, Coach Annell, our defense coordinator, they get in there and grind on the video, and he gets him prepared to play.
And I want to build on that, because one thing that, people may not know, you were not a starter last year.
I was not.
And so you had to work to get to this opportunity. Did you believe you could be this kind of a player?
I had no idea what kind of player I could be going into the season, so I just kind of relied on my coaching and on my teammates.
And a lot of hard work, no question about that. And now here we are a week away, Mike, from the postseason. I want to know what you think for your team, for Grapevine. One of the keys to have you guys have a deep run in the playoffs.
Yeah, just stick together and just keep playing for each other. That's been our deal all season long. I told the guys early on that the teams that love each other the most, that decide to play for each other the soonest, will be the ones that play the longest. And hopefully that'll be us. I think we got a good nucleus of guys that just really do enjoy playing with each other.
Well, it's been a lot of fun watching you guys play this year, and I appreciate you being in studio. Congratulations on the success so far. Good luck the rest of the way.
And another award that he received was he was WFAA Player of the Week, and we were also Classic Chevrolet Player Team of the Week last week as well. So that was a really neat honor. But no, back to Tim for a second, man. This is kind of a cool story. And for every underclassman that's kind of feels like maybe they're not meeting expectation or not sure if they're going to reach their goals or not. This past week, I passed out letter jacket order forms to all the underclassmen on the varsity, and Tim came up to me and said, "Coach, can I get one of those order forms?" And I said, "Well, didn't you get one last year?" Because he was on the varsity last year. And he said, "Coach, no, I did, but I didn't get a letter jacket because I wasn't sure I was going to play my senior year." And that just, that just struck me as, you just as a kid, when things aren't going your way and you're staring adversity in the face, a lot of things go through kids' minds of, do I check it in, do I quit, or do I shake it off and just keep pressing forward? And that's what Tim did as a junior. He kept pressing forward, had a fantastic off season, really developed as a football player, and now he's reaping the rewards for it. And so what a huge success story for every kid that's maybe not feeling like they're meeting expectation right now.
Wow, that's incredible. Tim, good job with sticking through it. That's a great story. And no doubt there's kids all over the Metroplex that are sitting on that same fence trying to make that decision. So I'm glad thanks for sharing that. Well, let's go to the highlights here and tell us about what all went down Friday night over at South Lake Stadium.
Well, just getting us started off, that was Cade Rhodes to David Clayton, and man, David's having such a good year, and he really shows you right there what he can do with the ball in his hand. That's a talented secondary that he, made miss and ran away from. So I don't know if David's got a lot of highlights on the year. I don't know if any of them are more special than that one right there. And then, cap it off to tie this game 7-7. Felipe Sarmiento punching it through. He's once again just very consistent, just gets out there, does his job. Super proud of him, continue to be. Defensively, we started out the gate, pretty good. We forced them into some 3rd and longs early on. They were able to convert a couple. They got on top of us, for a big score real early. But I was proud of our defenses, our run defense. I was proud of our 1st, 2nd down defense. 3rd down was a little bit shaky that we got to get better at. But that's a clip of Cade moving the chains in response to them going up. That's right after we had tied the game 7-7, and then we were able to get a couple 1st downs to sustain a little bit of a drive there. We're down 14-7 here, still challenging our offense to get back in the fight and take control of this football game, and we do. We moved down the field, and we just came up a little bit short on a ball in the end zone that they were able to pick off. But early on, it was a toe-to-toe game there. This is once again Cade leaving the pocket, finding Ertz on a scramble, just to kind of keep the chains moving. I was proud of us early on. It was just once things began to unravel, it kind of unraveled in a hurry. Once again, this was something we worked on last week, bringing the safety off the edge on a little bit of a safety blitz. It worked like we wanted it to. Knew we weren't going to be able to go to the well too many times on that one, but it was good to see Cam come off the edge there and get the sack. Jack Ertz on a little bit of just a hitch. They're giving him a little bit of space there to trips. Trips was a formation we really liked in that game, just because it put their linebackers in a little bit of a bind. And then and here we go. We had inserted Roshan into the kickoff return team right here, and everybody does their job. And he just gets tackled by the kicker here. But man, anytime we can take the ball and set up on the 50, we'll take it. And this is later in the game. Our guys are not ever going to stop playing hard. And this is Cade Rhodes, finding Seth Tejada on the go route. But that's what Seth does well, man. He can run fast and he can run vertical.
He's got state 100-meter dash speed,
Yeah,
so he is definitely a threat out there. This week we go to Thursday Night Lights, Stanford Stadium, 7 o'clock. We got R.L. Turner coming up. Tell us about Thursday night and the Turner team we'll see on Thursday night.
There's no secret. Turner hasn't had the season they probably hoped they'd set out to have. They're 0-9. They're struggling. I will say, looking at all the video, they're a team that's improving week to week. It's just hasn't produced a win yet, and so our job this week is twofold. Number one, win the football game, and finish our season 8-2, and then get everybody healthy. We're in hopes to have a lot of starters off the field pretty early, get a lot of the guys on the field and get some quality reps that maybe haven't got as many earlier on during the season and that sort of thing. But we need to be full speed going into the playoffs. It's always the dilemma a coach goes through when you've already clinched the playoffs. How much do you play your starters and that sort of thing. And we're gonna play our starters, but our goal is to get those guys off real healthy, get them rejuvenated, and let our guys that haven't had as many reps throughout the course of the year finish this season strong.
All right, so we're moving on. We got Thursday night, 7 o'clock, Stanford Stadium. We've talked a little bit about the R.L. Turner team. Don't forget, men, Thursday morning, 7 o'clock at the field house. Bring something for the players and the coaches. And we will see you 7 o'clock at Stanford Stadium. Special thanks to Fred Ertz and Mark Assad for making us look good. Appreciate all y'all do. So for everybody who's been a part of this one, thanks very much. We'll see you next week.
Go Mustang. The Coach Alexander Show, brought to you by Kim Assad, your real estate broker.